Hi, I'm the Pixie with a little BDSM chat. And if you are under 18, please click the little X at the top and get out of this window. This is a 18 and up conversation. Excuse me for being excuse me for being a little bit scattered today. I just did the entire video and realized I didn't hit record. So, I'm a little irritated, but I still really want to talk about this. I also apologize for the lower video quality. I'm trying to use my laptop instead of my cell phone for this, which is great, but I also have really shitty lighting in my living room, and I don't want to move. So, you're just going to have to deal with it. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the punishment or the punishment dynamic in BDSM. It is a very common dynamic, extremely common, and personally, I find the fantasy of it better than the real application, but fantasy versus reality, conceptual versus BDSM in real life is going to be another subject matter, another video for another chat. But what I wanted to talk about with the punishment dynamic is, like I've been doing, a word of caution in that it is a dangerous dynamic mentally. You can end up causing psychological damage because you are, as the submissive, you are feeling like you're being punished for something you didn't do, or you're constantly worried you're going to be punished. And these things aren't healthy. You shouldn't be in a relationship constantly fearing that you are going to be punished. And similarly, if it is more for the punishment dynamic, you shouldn't be sitting there wondering how you can irritate your partner into punishing you. Neither dynamic is healthy. So if you're going to play with this dynamic, you should be very open with each other about when you're going to enact this dynamic, when you're going to play with punishment, what causes it, etc. Some people have the concept that any punishment is for fun, except I'm going to punish you for whatever you did throughout the day that I didn't catch, that I don't know that you misbehaved. That dynamic bothers me in that it's kind of Big Brother. It kind of says I don't trust you enough to follow the rules, and even though I didn't catch you, obviously you did something wrong. That's not good for my mental space because my relationships are based off of trust. And just because I say cheated on my diet doesn't mean that I deserve to be hit for it. Like that makes my own issues worse. So that's not something that is an appropriate dynamic for me. Some people, that dynamic is fine. Some people, you kind of have that mindset of, well, nobody's perfect, so if I get punished at night for all of my minor transgressions, like I didn't anticipate the need to serve orange juice or something, like something small, something that is a normal, like, relationship thing that's not an actual issue, then that could be a fun dynamic. But you have to make sure that both parties understand what the dynamic is, where that line is, and what's okay. even though I do talk mostly about the sub's mental space and it being okay with that person, these things can also be kind of traumatic for the dominant as well, because most people who aren't abusive do have a problem being aggressive and punishing and doing things that you typically don't associate with a healthy relationship. You also have the dynamic where you end up creating these scenarios to purposefully create the need for a punishment. So you could discuss that, well, after dinner tonight, we're going to have tea and you're going to trip and drop the teapot and then I'm going to punish you and now I have a reason to. Which, if there's actually tea in the teapot, can cause either burns or stains and things that you have to deal with later, or before you get to have fun. And if that's part of it for you, then that's great. If that's not, maybe you want to use an empty teapot, maybe a metal teapot so you don't break it. Think about these things and how it actually will apply to your scenario and your life when doing it. Similarly, you don't want to end up where you are supposed to actually serve tea, but you want to get punished, so you decide it would be fun without talking to your partner to trip and spill the tea, and then you have to get punished. Because maybe your dominant is too tired to punish you right now. Maybe your dominant needs to just have some chamomile tea and go to bed. You have to discuss these things. And you don't want to create an actual relationship issue by being a submissive and constantly bratting off or breaking rules or doing things that actually make your dominant really angry. And as the dominant, you never want to hit your sub out of anger. So if you create a punishment dynamic that's fun, that it's not actually anything you're doing out of anger, that can be fine. But if you end up where your submissive is actually genuinely irritating you and bothering you and upsetting you, then that punishment is no longer a healthy dynamic, because you can cross that line into abuse. The way I look at it is it crosses over into abuse when you hit someone out of anger. When it is no longer, I'm trying to get something out of this and I'm trying to give them something. When it's no longer that give and take of energy, when it's actually, I am punishing you and I am upset, that's abuse. And side note, that's the line that I consider abuse for children as well. I am, like I said, side note, adamantly against spanking your children. However, sometimes a loud sound or a pop can be really effective, especially when they're younger and getting their attention. But you don't want to hit them out of anger. Because once you cross that line, that's when it becomes easier to keep crossing it. Similarly, you don't want to engage in screaming battles with your submissive or your toddler, because you're not listening to each other. You're giving negative energy that perhaps your sub was seeking. There is that concept that all energy is good energy, all attention is good attention. And you don't want to get into that habit or that cycle where you are constantly giving your partner negative attention, and then your partner starts seeking the negative attention because that's the only attention they're getting. And that goes both ways. So there's a lot to unwind and unravel when looking at the punishment dynamic. There's a concept of the whipping boy. It's kind of an archaic concept, but the concept is that I'm going to punish someone else instead of you. You're going to get the psychological punishment from that, from feeling bad that the other person has to go through whatever physical thing it is. Yeah, whipping. And personally, I don't think that concept should ever be used in BDSM. Ever, for any reason, because it is just that. It is psychological abuse. If you want to play with it, make sure you discuss it at length before and after you use it, because you don't know what childhood traumas you're going to bring up with a play like that, or with a scene like that. I know I don't handle that type of scenario well. And I was actually in a relationship where that dynamic got sprung on me. I didn't realize that that was a thing. And he acted like that was standard, and I'm like, no, I don't think it is. And over the years, I have never encountered this scenario. But I was not long distance per se, but I was not the live-in partner, and he had a live-in partner. And so I forgot to send my daily journal entry or whatever to him email. And instead of it being the, wait till I see you next, young lady type thing, it was, well, I'm giving my live-in sub, I don't remember what it was, but it was 6 cane lashings or something like that for you. And you owe her for that punishment, but it's between you two now. I'm out of it. And first of all, the concept of owing a debt because of something that I didn't do, I didn't ask to have her take my punishment. I did not ask to be put in debt, but rather to be forced into it. I have major problems with that. I never agreed to this before this situation was sprung on me. And because of the type of person I am, I was so freaked out by this that I made sure to pay my debt before ending the relationship. And if I had it to do all over again, I don't think I would do anything differently, because I don't like owing people. And that just, I felt like I couldn't leave the relationship until I had paid that debt. And feeling like you are trapped is not a good thing in any relationship. So there's that. And also, if your partner, if your not consistent partner, your long distance partner, or your once a month partner, or whatever they are, isn't around all the time, then that debt can add up, and then you're not going to want to see your secondary partner. You're not going to want to see the other partner because you have to punish them. As a dom, you have to punish them before you get to have fun. As a sub, you don't want to see them because you're going to get punished, and that you owe this debt to the other partner. And that's not a healthy relationship either. It can build resentment, not just between the dominant and the sub, but it can build resentment between the two submissives, and that's not healthy in a poly relationship. I guess I'm going to go ahead and side note that I should probably do another, I'm making a note, another video on poly relationships, since that's not something I've really discussed. I think I might have mentioned, you know, a partner's other partner a couple times, but I haven't gone into it. If you're not familiar with poly, the short answer is that you have multiple partners or are allowed multiple partners, and you all know about each other and you discuss it. And there are pretty much an infinite amount of rules who, like, I digress. Like a monogamous couple, the rules are always up to the couple, so it's an infinite combination. Yeah, so using the whipping boy concept, personally, I find is very not just dangerous in that it can cause mental trauma, but it can bring up past traumas, and it can be like a relationship killer. It can be a detrimental situation to, if you're poly, to multiple relationships, really. I also don't like the concept of, you know, again, not a live-in, so the punishment can't be handled immediately. The concept of wait until I see you, because again, that's going to create a situation where you don't want to see your partner. Punishments should not make you afraid of your partner. They should not make you dislike your partner. They should not make you resent your partner. As a top, you shouldn't have to feel obligated to punish your partner as soon as you see them because you haven't seen them in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You should be able to enjoy that time and have fun. Instead of, you know, let's get this over with. That's no fun for anyone, and it's not doing anyone any good. And similarly, like, I feel that punishments should be handled immediately, swiftly, quickly, and then forgotten about. Any transgression should be handled, discussed, and forgiven. Not to be brought up again later. Not you get into a fight and you go, hey, 6 months ago you did this thing. Unless it becomes a pattern, I'm not everyone, some people do, I'm not going to keep tabs or tally on what you did. If it's a pattern, then we have a much bigger relationship issue. But if it's just, you know, my rule is I have to take out the trash on Wednesdays and I forgot, we discuss this. I might get punished. I make an effort to do better, to remember, to make notes, to do whatever I need to do so that I remember to do this thing on Wednesday, I take out the trash. And if it turns into, like, I never take out the trash, it's always an excuse, I never remember, it seems like I'm purposefully not doing my chores, then it's a bigger issue. And of course, that's an example. It can be with anything. Not all submissives do chores, but, you know, before I keep rambling on, I'm going to go ahead and remind you guys to like, subscribe, hit that little bell icon at the bottom to be notified when I do new videos. My new videos are posted every Tuesday. And feel free to comment below. Let me know about how you use your punishment dynamic, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Do you use it? If you don't use it, why? I would love to hear your responses, and I hope you found this entertaining and educational. Bye.